Hello, Joey. Hope you're doing well today. Today we will be discussing the slight edge, and we're in your favorite place to be, which is in the storage units. I know this is where you like to be. I just finished listening to it. It's definitely one of the longer books in the series, but I'm definitely glad that I got around to this one because the slight edge is one of the most I know that over time this is going to be one of the most impactful ones to listen to because it really does feel like this one just goes over absolutely everything. And considering its length and how many different things it touches, I'm not going to be able to cover everything. I'm going to cover the stuff, like always, that affected me the most, that I felt like I garnered the most from. Something that you'll notice about the slight edge, and you mentioned this yourself, was that it tends to frame a point with a story, like a miniature story. There's the water hyacinth story, talking about how this tiny flower started out as a singular flower, but its rate of reproduction and spreading is borderline unheard of and doubles essentially every single day. And how over the course of a month, almost every single day of the month, people did not notice it and the flowers it was creating. But by the end of the month, it had taken over the entire pond that it was in. Then there's also the story about the two frogs that fall in the bucket of cream and eat away at it, not realizing that they have just trapped themselves in the bucket. One of the brothers is like, there's no chance that we'll ever get out of here alive or anything like that, and just decides to drown and die. Whereas the other one is like, I'm just going to keep on paddling and hope a miracle happens. And after an hour of paddling around in the bucket, he's about to give up himself as he's completely spent, but all that time spent paddling actually turned some of the cream into butter, which he was able to get onto and get out of the bucket. These are just a couple examples. Essentially, this book touches on some stuff that some of the other books in the series has touched on as well. So one of them being, the biggest thing being compound interest, which is what those two stories are related to. It's related to the rich father and his two sons choosing between $1 million now or a single penny that doubles every day for a month. And I think you already know how this goes. The brother that took the $1 million pays for like a hotel condo and like all the greatest market researchers he could find and stuff like that. And over the course of the month, they made a profit of about $1.5 million. But the bill that he racked up to have everybody there was over $1.7 million. So he essentially is in multiple $100,000 worth of debt, whereas the other son, who took the time to read those books, took the doubling penny, and by the 31st day, he has over $10 million. Now, the point of this is that when it comes to making the right decisions that'll lead to your dream, to your happiness, well, I shouldn't say to your happiness, I'll touch on that in a little bit, but the betterment of your life, it comes by doing the small things every single day. And the book at some point talks about the tale of the race between the tortoise and the hare, and we all know that the tortoise wins because slow and steady wins the race. But the thing is that it is not the slow that was the important part of that equation. It was the steady. It was the consistency. And something that I know that I thought when I was a kid is like, well, if the hare was consistent too, well, then he would have won. Yes, it is. But essentially, the comfort that came with going so fast is what lost the hare the race because he took a nap. And you don't necessarily need to go as slow as the tortoise, but generally speaking, when it comes to doing the easy good habits every day that this book talks about, it's treading this line where, yes, you are making improvements that are something you're not going to notice, but over time, with that consistency, it's going to compound, just like the water hyacinth, how it was borderline unnoticeable until like the 20th day. And then there's going to be a point where it massively crescendos upwards. And this goes for the other end of the slight edge too, which is letting small bad habits eat away at you. And so the slight edge is his way of framing something very similar to what's in the Compound Effect. The Compound Effect and the Slight Edge are extremely similar books. I know that the Compound Effect spoke more to me, but I think that the Slight Edge is going to have more what's the word I'm looking for? More value over time. Not that the Compound Effect isn't anything short of extremely valuable, but the Slight Edge, I think, covers a little bit more. So I'm going to listen to both plenty more times, but I think the Slight Edge probably will get more listens, is what I'm trying to say. Something else that I thought was really interesting was the chapter about finding a mentor for the thing that you are trying to become a master in, trying to improve in. And the reason I find that interesting is because something I've thought about in the past is, like when I was a kid, is like, isn't somebody that's really good at something wasting their time, like teaching other kids or whatever about it, other disciples, because they need to be honing their craft even more. But there's two truths that I didn't used to understand. One, being a teacher, a mentor of your given field that you are a professional in, does teach you things. It's important to the learning process to impart that knowledge onto other people. And the other thing is, as well, is that it's effectively ingrained in us as humans to want to pass down knowledge to the next generation. And so the importance of being a mentor eventually yourself and trying to find a mentor really cannot be understated. I don't recall the Compound Effect talking about this particular point, but I'm glad that the Slight Edge brought it up, because I was listening to it and I thought it was making really good points, and I was thinking, man, that makes me wonder, like, what would I do to find a mentor for some of the stuff that I'm passionate about? Because there's finding a mentor for work. That's a little bit harder to say. Like, if I went and got a job in the thing I plan on doing myself, like working for somebody, I mean, technically that is one way of setting yourself up for that. But for example, like with my artwork, finding someone that can mentor me on, say, like story writing or color, painting, drawing, whatever it might be, because I'm passionate about all these different things, but essentially there's plenty of room for me to improve, and it's very important to walk your journey on your own path, but it's also very important to learn from others as well. Essentially, it's a balance between your own ambition, your own creativity, your own problem solving, and also looking and learning from other people in terms of how they decided to to take on those same or similar challenges. I thought that was extremely valuable information. And it's also got me thinking about how I'm going to do my workout routine to where I stick to it hardcore. I think what I'm going to do, because essentially I haven't worked out in about a month other than biking, which I'm not proud of myself about, but essentially there are certain muscle groups that I want to train in a bodybuilding sense because I want them to be bigger and to look good. And then there are other muscle groups that I would more so train for, whether it be endurance, athleticism, other things that I'm interested in. So say like my arms, my abs, my upper back, stuff like that. The stuff that really makes you look like a manly man, you know. I want to train those for muscle mass, primarily. And, you know, that'll come with the side effect of being rather strong in those places. Obviously not as strong as, say, like a power lifter, but you'll still definitely be stronger than your average Joe training like that. But say like my legs, training them more so for running, biking, stuff like that, swimming, because I'm not really competing with anybody. And this is actually something that the Strangest Secret says. There is so much abundance in this world for any one person to go and claim for themselves that you don't necessarily need to compete with other people to create your success. You can simply choose to create. Obviously, I like competing. Competing is a very important part of who we are, but there is a truth in that I don't have to do things optimally to be happy with myself, you know, based on the, you know, rules of a sport. If I want to train my body in different ways for different things, as long as I like it and I stick to it, which is the most important thing, that's what really counts. And if you're wondering why I'm pacing around in here, it's because I'm checking the air conditioning units and the storage units, because these AC units have just gone out again a couple days ago and they got replaced, so I've got to monitor them. Anyway, yeah, and so another thing I plan on doing that the book talks about is happiness. Happiness, there is some happiness that comes from your surroundings, your reaction, or how surroundings may make you feel. Like, say, the weather's good rather than being 170 quadrillion degrees, you know, cough, cough, Florida. But being happy is a slight edge. It is a slight edge skill to be learned. Like, it is not just something that it's like, oh, this thing exists and now I'm happy. It's like there are going to be plenty of things that make you not happy over the course of the day, a week, whatever it may be. But making the concerted effort to look at the things that you are appreciative of, that you are grateful for, making sure to verbalize, say, I gotta take care of that. Say, your wife, for example, taking the time to just put in the easy effort to do little things to show that you love her, for example, rather than, you know, taking the easy path, the stuff that you just want to blurt out, like, you know, you talk too much or something. Like, taking the time to make the concerted effort to say something nice and loving to her. That compounds over time, and that will result in you having a much better relationship. So yeah, this is a very chock full book. I have it both as a physical copy and on Audible. If you haven't listened to it on Audible, you should. The narrator has a very enjoyable voice to listen to. He's very articulate. But with that being said, I definitely want to talk to you about this book. And I very much appreciated all the different information it went over. So I'll definitely be giving it multiple re-listens once I have finished the last handful of books in the 20 book challenge that I need to listen to. But with that being said, I hope you have a good rest of your day and have a good day. Peace.